Alright, on the back of this we are going to construct perpendicular lines. There's two different constructions here. One is perpendicular to a given line through a given point that's on the line, so you can see here that P is on the line, and the other down at the bottom of the page, perpendicular to a given line through a point that's not on the line. Okay, so we're going to start with example 2, which is construct a perpendicular line with the point that we want to be perpendicular through actually on the line. And these constructions will be very similar. So what you want to do, you need to make an arc that comes on either side of point P on the given line here. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the gold part on that point. And actually, you know what? If you need to extend the line in any of these questions, you're more than welcome to do that. Just use the straight edge side. I'm going to make this line a little bit longer here just to give myself a little bit more room. And we're going to put this on point P, and you just need to make an arc, and it needs to touch either side of that line. I'm going to go ahead and use the number 40 here. And see, I extended the line a little bit there. Let me mark these in red so they stand out a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to call these points A and B so I can reference them as we go through the construction. Now, the idea here is when you put that center point or that gold thing on P and we make the arc that touches both sides of the angle, the distances here between A and B, A to P and P to B will be the same length. This, if I kept going around, would make a whole circle. P to B would be a radius, P to A would be a radius of that circle. So that's why those two distances are the same. You do not need to write this down, but I'm just going to jot this. So PA and PB are exactly the same. Now, we've done this a long, long time ago, but we did construct perpendicular bisectors, and actually that's what we're going to do here. We're going to construct the perpendicular bisector of this segment. If we do this properly, it will go through point P. Okay, this is just three steps. You're going to put the gold piece on one of your intersections. I called mine A, and you can pick any number you want. You just need to go at least halfway across this segment from A to B, which just be past point P. So any number you want. I'm going to pick 50, and we're going to kind of make, whoops, maybe we're going to make an arc. If I can get my pen to go through. Nope, it doesn't want to. Alright, so I'm still using 50. And this doesn't want to go through either. Sorry, guys. There we go. I'm going to make an arc. I have the gold piece on A, and this was 50. And you can see it goes at least halfway across. If it doesn't go at least halfway across, it won't intersect the other arc we're going to make. That's why we need to make that important. It goes at least halfway. So I used 50. I had the gold piece on A. You're going to switch the gold piece to B, and then use that same number. I used 50. And make an arc. So again here, this was using 50. And what we're going to do then is connect where these arcs intersect here and here. And if we've done this correctly, it should go through point P. And that red line, that is perpendicular, sorry guys, that was crooked there, perpendicular to that given line through that given point. Now, we're going to slide down, and it's very similar. And this is kind of a long line, so I'm not going to need to extend this, I don't think. You're going to start the same way. You're going to put the the gold piece on point P, any number you want. I'm going to kind of come down the page a little bit just to give myself a little bit of space. So I'm using the number 70 here. So made this arc with a 70, and you don't need to remember that number, I'm just jotting it down here. Now I'm going to call these two places that intersected A and B. Now it's not as easy to see this here as it is in the last question, but if I were to actually connect P to A and P to B, it would still be the same thing. All right, so if I were to connect these, A to P and P to B are the same distance. Now, it's just P is not on the line here. This is a little bit trickier to see because I can't just lay the comptractor and see where point P is, but you need to put the gold piece on the endpoints of the segment A and B here. Now, you need to come at least halfway across the segment, and I'm going to go ahead and use the number 80 here. It might be a little bit too big. Alright, now I'm going to use that same number, but I'm going to come over to point B here. Now, if you used a little bit smaller number, your arc might not be as big as mine, but that's totally fine. And you guys, I'm trying to get it onto the page here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the intersections of those two arcs. And it should go through point P. That's my perpendicular line through that point P to the given line. In this case, this was L. And I would be on the construction looking for these four things really. I'd look for the first arc that you have drawn here that shows me you have an equal distance between endpoints and your point P. And then I would be looking for the two arcs here. Some people call that a cat's eye kind of a construction where you put the vertex A with the gold piece and made an arc, and then put the vertex with B and use that same arc. In this case, I use the number 80 for both of those. And then obviously the final thing, that the actual construction I'm looking for, would be what I did in red here, which is the line that's actually perpendicular to that line through that given point.